Here we are, Dr. Bob's number 7 Chevelle. Progress is moving right along.
You guys are hustling on this one.
It seems like just yesterday we were having a running, driving red with black stripes Chevelle that was 5 different colors of red.
You're like, what, 45, 50 days into this?
Something like that. You could we can look back on it and see, but it seems like we did one Dr. Bob video that was outside with the car when it got started, and I don't think we've done anything since. So this thing's been blasted, new roof skin, new quarters. We welded up the seams to make it a little cleaner. We've got the doors hung to replace those, window mechanisms in them, starting to just get the weight in the car. We're welding in the firewall currently that we die stamped. You can see this part. He's plug welding it around the sides and mounting this stuff down here at the bottom. It's been flanged and everything sits in there to replace the old one. We used the original fender mounts as a way of locating everything. So the rockers have been extended. You can see that they're screwed on to set over, and they will get cut in and grafted in with the fenders that get extended.
So explain that, what the rockers, for the people that haven't
So the pinch weld used to end right down here. And so we make this piece that gets rid of the pinch weld and makes the rocker sit even with the bottom of the frame. So instead of it coming down and coming together, it just looks more uniform.
Yeah, you don't even see the frame.
I can show you a pinch weld out back if you want to see one.
Yeah, well, we're used to seeing those. So we got that. Show where the cab of the car has been welded to the frame, the chassis,
so
and making it a unibody.
The old floor that we were cutting apart has been joined with the body and welded together along here. You can see that the spot welds and everything are going up around the inside of the kick panels and everything as it goes up. So there's a few seams and things that need to be welded up, and you will have the front half of the car. The rear mini tubs and the trunk floor aprons from the side have all been fitted and powder coated. So we just grind the paint away where we need it to leave the powder coat and then weld it on. That's what these dots are for, is to weld those tubs on where they go. And that'll install all the rear sheet metal, and that will be all done.
So if people were following along, if you remember when this car first came in, and our first video on this car showed it complete but torn down, no interior and whatnot, and it looked like it had lost the driveline and exploded in the rear and just gouged up and just really made a mess of the floor. Plus it had a couple of little areas that were a little rough on the floor. If you guys had to fix that, putting a chassis, like say it was a spec chassis or whatever chassis, and you had to fix the floor, how much time did you save by just deleting that all out and going to a unibody?
I mean, there's a ton, because if you're repairing it, it's one thing, but if you're putting a bigger transmission tunnel in, it's a whole nother thing. And you're going to have to do that on any chassis swap that you do, because the body gets lower and the chassis gets more tucked up into the car. Just that all that happens. And so as the car gets lower, everything comes up into the car more. As the transmissions are bigger, whether it's a T56 or a 10-speed, you just have to deal with all that. And this stuff is already built into this chassis from the get-go with the design that we laid out with the Roadstershop.
So if you're looking at doing a chassis, considering a chassis, consider possibly this is more of an investment, but you're also overlapping and deleting some of the other labor that you would otherwise have to be doing.
Well, and I think the part that we're looking at doing, because I've had some inquiries about it, of would we just install people's bodies on our chassis? And I think we would, of just doing that part. So we would install the body on the chassis for a flat rate to where everything is set up. The kicker is you've got to run an independent rear suspension. I can design one that's a solid axle if you want. Most of the guys that we've done it for haven't wanted that, but that saves a chunk.
But I mean, if you're going this far into it, you gotta ride in an IRS car to really see the value.
Yeah, it's the reason that new cars ride the way they do, is because of those details.
Yeah.
And so just having all of that together just makes it nice. So, and then everything underneath is very durably coated with powder coating. And so we'll come in here and sand all the rust spots off and get ready to epoxy primer the exterior of the car and get it ready to go to the body shop. We're going to start fitting the front sheet metal, getting all that stuff together, using some of the parts that we're keeping and replacing some of the parts that we're not keeping. So, but there's just little things like you can see here on these quarters where you've got sheet metal panels that they just don't quite fit the same. And it's just the way it comes. It's not that these guys did something wrong or these guys did something wrong or whatever it is. It's just the fact of building cars. So we got to come in here and we'll either pie cut this and move it over, or we'll weld on this edge and move it over to get whatever's going to be the best flow. It looks like we might move this side over to meet that door because this is a better line than this one that kind of bulges out. So, but if you look on the other side, I bet it's different or not even the same. Oh, there's a piece of tape here, so it does the same thing. But you can see that the gap is longer over here, but you can see this gap up here at the top tapers in. And so there's just those differences. And this is why I get a question a lot where people are like, well, why don't you just buy new bodies? Well, new bodies are based on these panels. So you're going to have these inherent issues that you're still going to have to deal with, let alone you're dealing with more of those issues because you're just taking a whole bunch of parts that it's not all really designed to go together without something. You know, and anytime you build a car, you learn that bolt-on parts are not bolt-on parts. And so this is just a great example of how it all fits together to where we'll put things together, we'll put the parts on the car, we'll do the fitment. We won't fit this until we have the front sheet metal on with the hood, because that'll tell us where, once we put this fender on and set this gap, and put that fender on and set the gap, and you put the hood on, is it even at the front, or is one side longer? Because it would almost seem to make sense that this front fender would be in front of the car because this gap's wider, but it's probably not the case.
So work your way back.
You're just going to set up the entire system of the car from front to back to get everything fitting the way it should fit.
And that's over all the years, still just a process that you have to just go through.
It's just the facts of what you're dealing with. You're always going to see that stuff. Most of the time, you're going to want to take this black coating off anyways. It's good to keep the rust down while you're working on it, but you don't really want to put your paint job over this. We leave it on the inside of the car because it's a durable surface for that, but this e-coating is not always known to be the best. And so we're just kind of moving our way forward on getting that. But this car had a lot of rust in these corners on the windows, and there was a lot of dents under it, so it's just best to replace the quarter panel and just be done with it.
Instead of patchwork.
Instead of patchwork and dealing with all these ripples and more mud. And you can see how it's going to be a minimal amount of filler to get this car straight. So we'll do the tweaking and the moving and getting everything set up before it goes to the body shop so that it's a slick and smooth process through there for them.
How soon do we feel that we're going to be heading to the body shop on this one?
There's a few variables that go along with when it's going that are outside of our control, but we should be ready in January to go to the body shop, maybe a little sooner. So I think this one's going to get painted at a place where the guy's having back surgery. So I think that's going to take a little longer for him to get over back surgery so that he can do this one, which is why I haven't sent the other Chevelle to go get painted and clog up that place and then have to wait on this one. I'd like to get this car that's already sold to Dr. Bob and have him in it sometime next year.
Yeah, and he's excited. I mean,
oh man, he's thoroughly excited.
Yeah, and it's going back red with black stripes, and he's got some nice wheels picked out for it. I believe he finally picked out the wheels.
He did. Picked out the wheels.
I know he showed me a couple different ones.
He's not sure light powder coat or dark powder coat, but we're good.
Okay.
For the coatings in the center of the wheels, but he picked out some kind of Pro Touring wheels, and just reminds me of like that timeless Pro Touring Chevelle. Just putting some pretty timeless wheels, but not something that's vintage inspired, something that kind of fits that early.
A little bit of style
to
go along with the Pro Touring.
Yep.
Maybe we start calling this Grand Touring.
Hey, I have no idea. Yeah.
You know, because the Pro Touring thing kind of went off on its own spiral in a direction. But yeah, these things are definitely built to be driven, and they are very nice to drive on long drives. Very comfortable. I
will see Goldie this weekend in Scottsdale because Greg is driving her from Las Vegas down to Scottsdale this weekend and back. So we'll be there for the Good Guys event, and he'll be there with Goldie. That he's excited to get her out on the highway again.
Get some more miles down on it.
Get some more miles on that thing.
Is that so far the highest mileage legacy car?
Yeah, it's like should be 9. No, I believe it's.
Oh, really?
I think it's 9.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it was in the 8,000, and it's been driven back and driven around, and then now it's going to drive 300 miles each way to Scottsdale and back. So,
well, that's great. That's great. And then, you know, speaking of drivers and people enjoying them, the 442, I remember not too long ago, we got a text and there was a nice Doberman sitting in the front seat, minding his P's and Q's and just riding along, having fun in the front seat of that
Cliff
car.
was having a great time with Haas in the front seat of the 442.
Which is great.
Which is great. That's what it's for. Some people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you put your dog in there, and that's just what it's for.
That's it. That's it. Enjoy
Man's
it.
best friend.
Enjoy the car and go out and use it.
Go out and use it.
That's great. How can everyone get a hold of you?
The best way is just to follow the links on our website. Just email us and we'll get back to you. If you email us in the morning, we will get back to you that day. You can call and leave a message if you're not an email guy. You'll probably get a response if you email us sooner, because we only check the voicemail messages daily. But just hit us up that way. Let us know if you have any questions, if there's anything we can help you with. Thank you very much.